stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, consideration of any changes or additions to the agenda. I have a couple additions. We're gonna put on for animal control if Adam can make it, and we'll put him towards, Adam is on, so we'll put him at the end of E on new business. And on ongoing business, we have a junk ordinance complaint off of on 155. Mr. Guy has called me multiple times while I was on vacation, so we'll talk about that one. Any other additions?
Anything?
Diana? Okay. Approval of the June 11th and June 19th minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion, we approve the June 11th and June 19 minutes as written.
I'll second the motion.
The ayes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the reports. Highway transfer station report. Clinton?
Under highway, I spoke with, Lake Nineveh Foundation and Farm and Wilderness. Farm and Wilderness thought it would be a great idea if we were to open that up so they could get through there in the winter and whatnot. And Andy Schultz went to a meeting with the Nineveh Foundation, and he said a lot of the homeowners over there were in favor of it too. So
Okay.
he said there was a few that were opposed to it, and a few that were neutral. So
Even the postal system is
Yeah.
open for it.
yeah, so I roughly figured it out. It would be probably around 7,000, give or take, to, you know, a few days of work and some brush and, you know, resurfacing it with plant mix.
Okay.
To make it passable through the, you know, through the winter, so if you met somebody you could get off and whatnot, but. So.
Next question is there funding in the budget?
It would basically be under regular
Mhm.
road
Mhm.
maintenance, really.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We are.
And then the other is, well, so yeah, back to that. Is that something the select board wants to do, or?
It's on the highway map as a class 3, so it does
Yeah, we
meet
need
that.
we need to maintain it. So I'm not opposed.
Okay. Alright.
I'm good with it too.
The Vass, Tom Cole, I believe it is, got a hold of me. They wanna redo that bridge out on Greendale that we went and
Mhm.
looked at
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago. I gave him the name of the camp owners, or David gave it to me, but, and he just asked me if he needs to send them certified letters, telling them that, you know, they're gonna be doing the work on the bridge in case they come, and I said, that's totally up to you guys. If you
Yeah,
wanna
it's
send-
not even there.
I mean, I wouldn't spend the money on certified letters, I'd just send them a letter and say this is, you know, but.
What they're doing.
So they wanted to know if we were okay with them to use that road to get the material out there and whatnot.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Is that part of the Old Town Road that
It's
branches off?
It is.
part of
It is.
Greendale Road that
Yep.
goes way,
Way
out.
out.
in-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Towards
I'm okay.
this.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Yes, Gary.
I had a guy approach me, that's looking to buy a piece of property out the end of the Greendale Road, putting a road in that's on the class 4, so I haven't heard no more, so I don't know if this is anything that has something to do with this, that's gonna help anybody out, I don't know.
His piece of
He
property
lives
is
in
actually
Colorado.
before that bridge, so.
Okay. Well, I don't know if he purchased it yet, but he's in Colorado, and he said he was looking at it. So,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to them using to fix that bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we did get approved for the structures grant, so that's for, Sawyer Hill Box Culvert.
Okay.
The paving grant, or the paving RFP, I got it out late, but it went out last week.
Okay.
They've already called on a couple of them, called
So that
and
is
worried about it.
due, I put a July 30th date for bids to be due. So we'll have bids to look at. We can either do a special meeting or just hang on to the next regular meeting.
great God.
We can do a special meeting if we have to.
It's fine.
Get it done in a little.
Yeah.
Just quick and easy.
Yeah.
No, we can do that.
Figure it out.
It's at 3:30 p.m. is the deadline. Do you guys know when you'd wanna?
What date?
The July 30th,
Tuesday, right? Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah.
July 30th, yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Do you want
It
to just
is.
meet then to
Yep. No,
open
we
them?
we can do that.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do it before then?
No, that's fine. We can
Okay. We
do
can
it at
that.
3:30 or
3:30.
No, I don't know.
Yep. So July 30th at 3:30.
Special meeting. I'll post it.
let's do it at 4 just
You want to do 4?
so we don't have like people watching.
Yeah,
Con-
true. Coming
yeah.
in at 3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Deadline
No,
is
that's fine.
3:30.
Deadline
so-
3:30 open.
Okay, great.
The transfer station, that's all got cleaned up. The electronics went, the metal went, tires went, everything's
Done. Okay.
Tim asked about leaving a container there.
For the metal?
For the metal. And whenever it gets full, call him and he'll come and grab it and
I think that's a
drop
bet.
another one off.
I think that's a better thing. We'll just have to monitor it, making sure people ain't throwing something in it that's not supposed to be in it.
Yeah. And I thought about putting it, where our compactors are now, putting it on the other side for now.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it would be closer for
For
the
monitoring.
guys to monitor it
Yep.
and whatnot. And
Did they still need a pad for that?
there is, no,
Okay.
there is actually a pad there.
Oh, okay.
There's an old concrete pad
Oh,
right
just
where-
kind of covered up.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would work fine, but
No, I'm okay with that. I think
Yeah.
I think a
I think it
container
would
would
keep it a lot cleaner down there and,
absolutely.
yeah.
Nope, I'm okay with that.
Alright, I'll tell them, bring one then.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Shunpike culvert replacement.
Either next week or after I get back from Maine. That's going in.
Any ditching on Stewart Road North?
Yes, that's,
That has to be done by the end of September and reported on.
that one has to be reported on.
Is there any this year?
This year can be in the,
Next year.
next year. But it'll be done this year because a lot of, Russellville.
Yep.
Is filled in and that's gotta get ditched, so that's, can be part of that MRGP because it's all
Yep.
storm related water, so.
Okay. If you need any
all
help,
segments, so.
need any help with paperwork, let me
Yeah.
know.
No, I got it. It goes right on the iPad now, so, the tablet, so it's pretty straightforward.
So we'll have probably for Stewart Road some paperwork for the reimbursement
Yeah,
August.
Yeah.
sometime.
No, good.
What's the, for the grants again?
MRGP grant.
the 30, I think that
It
one's
was like 30s,
31.
yeah. Yep.
I just had another FEMA meeting today. Any update on Beaver Meadow culvert, or I know you're gonna work on an RFP.
I'll work on that, yeah.
just need to report back to them, that's what I thought.
coming.
Yeah.
And tell 'em we'll have something by the end of the month
Perfect.
for somebody to price for engineering.
Any other questions for Bovee? All right, moving on to the treasurer's report. Liz?
So June 30th is our year end in the town. We still thankfully ended okay for cash flow despite all the FEMA spending. And we do have, you'll see just of note, a few grants receivable. 135,000 as of June 30th, that was officially obligated from FEMA. We have another approximately 200,000 that's been obligated in the 2 weeks since, so. And we have received our first actual cash payment. So the money, the state said they're sending another form tomorrow, so it's 1 year in, we're getting reimbursement, which will be really helpful for cash flow.
Yep.
Let's see. And just that, we did, with all the disaster, we did end the year at a $317,000 deficit, but we spent over 500,000 on disaster related recovery, so overall, not terrible in light of everything that happened in last July. And received some more interest. The bank made an error at the end of June. They set up a new back end system, so they actually owe us some interest. So this will
Nice.
actually increase a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm waiting to talk, the banker's working on it, she's gotta call me back tomorrow. Let's see, anything. Solid waste labels, we did up the fee from $2 to $3 last fall, so you'll see that came in over budget, by about $10,000, which does directly help offset the costs of the transfer station. Sorry, I'm flipping through.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Oh,
I don't know where it went.
sorry.
You can use my copy.
I think I might have given yours to,
Oh, thank you.
sorry, Diane. In June, the only other, just these are almost final. There might be a few adjustments that get made pre-audit, but this gives you your full figures for the year. We definitely, as we knew, we had a lot of spending this year with the disaster, as well as additional maintenance on vehicles that were impacted by that as well. So we will be receiving more cash in the near future, which will get us back to a healthy reserve. And we'll pay off the note that we took from the bond bank for $100,000 from flood related damage. We actually haven't had to dip into that. And it will not end up costing us anything because FEMA has announced that they will cover any interest related to borrowing from flood related damage. So we'll end up with some interest from the money sitting there. Just a little bit of time before we get it off the books. Give you all a minute. Do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Jeff? Diana?
No,
Any questions for Liz?
Did
Yeah.
anyone in Mount Holly get damaged this last storm?
Not that I know of.
Just culverts?
So most of the damage was northern Vermont
Yeah.
this time.
We had a little bit of washout, but nothing.
Some few on the hills on the dirt roads and stuff, but
Yeah.
overall pretty good. Okay, thank you, Liz. Okay, Mount Holly Planning Commission update, John?
John let us know he doesn't have anything this month, so.
Okay,
Yep.
we're good there. Fire department update, Bill?
Yeah, got 2 updates and a couple questions and concerns, but the first 2 updates is that we are running now as a first response unit. Just to let the town folk know that when we do respond and you do see us, we are using the ambulance, but we are not a transporting unit, so I think we've had a couple calls where people were kind of a little bit confused as to why we weren't taking them in the ambulance, and we had to explain to them that we weren't a transporting unit, so. But it is cutting down the time in between Ludlow getting here and the response time's very fast, so. It's kind of a small crew right now, I think we're a crew of 3, but we're gonna be putting on a class very soon and in hopes to grow, so. And also we have obtained a boat now, and we have a trained crew to use it. So now we have a rescue boat, and I think in between, we're the only boat crew between Chester and Rutland City, so. Kind of some big things coming in, definitely providing the town some more specialty rescue equipment. In case something does happen in either the ponds or if we do have flooding again, or if we get landlocked like the last storm, we have a crew that's trained to go out and rescue people, so it's kind of a big thing. The question and concern as I have is, well, the 4th of July, we had some issues with some fireworks. I know I had to call ESP. The concern was by our farm. The firework, I was on vacation, I saw it via video at our house. The fireworks were large enough that I felt a concern to call ESP, only because the barn is full of hay, and some pretty large animals, and the animals are affected by that. So the question that I have is what's in place for the town as far as fireworks ordinance? And correct me if I'm wrong, I think if there were like a large display of fireworks that the town and myself had to either be aware of or agree upon, maybe I'm wrong, but and if there's nothing in place, I think that should be addressed. I'm all for celebrations, and that's not what I'm saying is to
Fireworks
put
are
down,
legal.
but I think a lot of that has to be within moderation, right, and safety. And the fireworks that were lit off were very, very large, right? Just because I can go over to another state and buy these fireworks doesn't mean that that person's qualified to set them off. So I don't know what's in place now. If there's nothing that's really in place, maybe that's something that we should address.
I know we've talked about it in the past, but I don't think there is a solid ordinance in place, so that's something that we can discuss and look at.
Because I can
And
tell you,
look at some of the other towns
Yeah.
that may have ordinances and maybe draft something that is.
I think it's really important that we do that and not relax on it. Had the fireworks landed on the barn, which I was on vacation, I could only see through camera, but they were really large. The chance of that barn lighting on fire was pretty great. You're endangering firemen, people at the home trying to get the animals out. You know, the barn has just the 3 animals alone are $50,000, and they're 1,600 pounds a piece, and so if they get distraught and get loose, now we're having issues with that. So it's kind of common sense, but there's some people in town that don't have a lot of that. I hate to say it that way, but I'm gonna be very out.
So, one thing just on the
Are
basics,
legal.
just in case people don't know, fireworks, private fireworks are illegal in Vermont to be set off.
Yeah.
Across the state unless, so only public displays
Yeah.
are permitted, and
Yeah.
those have to be supervised by the local fire department and or the municipal police chief if there is one.
That's what I was understanding.
Yeah. And if someone wants to set off a professional display, they have to get a permit.
Sure.
It can be a verbal permit
Sure.
from the local fire department.
Yeah.
I think it's a 15-day. It's
Should
either
should that be
2 or
worded in
15 day.
the fire department thing? Should that be worded so it's not blanketed? So it should be from the chief and not the fire department? Because if you put the
Yeah, I
fire
think that would
department-
make
It would not be a bad thing
sense.
to be in the fire department thing.
Sure.
We could ask VLCT, but I don't think we could even have an ordinance per se because they are illegal in Vermont. But we could
Yeah.
have a policy.
Yep.
Where we reiterate the state's policy
Sure.
and tell people what the process is locally
Yeah.
if they are interested in having a fireworks.
Because I think when the VSB came out, I wasn't there to talk to them, but they really didn't do much about it. It was more so, well, we don't want to poke the bear, have a good night. That's how I got it. Really should have been addressed. The dangers there were pretty large. And I'm not just saying that because that was where I live. It goes for anybody, really. So I just think it should be something that we should.
We can go.
Yeah, at least
To the
we
league,
bring
see
that up
what-
when the state police comes.
Yep.
That I get asked again, I can say, okay, well, this is what the town says. Okay, they have to have permission from myself and the town. At least there's something to fall back on.
Yeah.
How do they handle the New Year's Eve one up at the lake?
What's that?
The fireworks they do with New Year's Eve at the lake.
They haven't in a while.
They haven't had
So they can't find anybody to set them
They
off
tried to
without
ask
their
us to do it,
license.
and we didn't want to have the liability to
Yeah.
do so. So
It's been like
we're not trained
So-
professionals.
COVID. Yeah.
So we'll reach out to the league and we'll see what their recommendations are on it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that something's put in place. So.
Yeah, I mean, it says there's like on the fire safety, it says there's $100 fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is we just go to the sheriff and
Right.
Yeah.
So how's that? So if there's
We're
nothing in
offline
place,
now.
We're offline, guys.
can we?
it doesn't say who does the fine. It just says there's $100 fine.
So how? My question to you is, how's that work? If you, I know we're on wait, but I'm just asking him. But if there's nothing in place for the town, how can that be implemented? Then?
It's a state.
So it's a state. That's
It's
a
a
state.
Yeah.
State law.
Yeah, like
Right.
yeah.
And then the town.
Who implements it? I don't know.
they could
It doesn't
do
say. Yeah, we
So-
can
Maybe the fire marshal. or-
Yeah. So
fire
let's
GPS.
yeah,
Okay.
let's reach out to the league and see where the league advises us to
Okay.
go forward with that.
Okay.
We can do that.
Thanks.
We can also just do like a educational chit chat,
Absolutely.
reminder, state law.
Absolutely.
We had done that a few years ago too, when Jennifer was in. We put something in.
Yeah, because they wanted to have a big show at one point that year as well. I know
And I
it's,
know when Roger Scully did it, he was under federal license because he had federal.
Scarzella. He had his federal license
He had his
to
federal
build his own fireworks.
Yeah.
But he always had the fire department
He
stand
did.
by.
He did. And he had an electronic system for ignition too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not for it. I mean, I'm not against it, so I don't want anybody to think that.
Yep,
I'm
no.
I just think it needs to be done right the proper way. And safety precautions should be put in place and followed properly. That's all.
I agree.
Looks like it's already, a lot of it's in the state law. So.
Yeah, but you.
Matter of enforcing, just a
There has
matter
to
of
be some-
enforcing.
There has to be something that,
So
you know, that doesn't really stop anybody.
for about an hour.
I wonder if we lost.
It was incredible.
Um,
But I was concerned about
Oh, you get
Joe and Randy's
internet.
barn, they're not that far from
No,
David
it just
Hutchinson's
went.
property.
Yeah, we're losing power in our house too.
I was concerned. I don't know who set them off or anything, you know.
Yeah, we'll hold off until we see if we can get the internet back
Oh, it's just a-
for a minute.
I'd look up if we have to continue, if we have to stop or continue, but I can't. Online.
We were trying to have this conversation.
My gut says we're allowed
New
to
law
have
is in
it.
effect, is not
Yeah,
in
that's-
effect
yeah, I
yet,
don't
so
know.
we're okay to continue.
Oh, I got phone screws.
I'll just give them.
Mark, I can tell you,
The
my,
Entire internet.
what I have to do does not
Yeah, and it
require
might not even be
a
here.
warned meeting, and it does not require Zoom. I'm happy to wait, but can do it and meet my obligation without being on the
Yep.
computer.
The law went into effect in July.
But I'm happy to wait a few
So
minutes.
So-
hybrid meetings is January.
While they're trying to connect to Zoom to be time friendly,
Yes,
Kim,
yeah.
Kim, why don't you
Okay.
go ahead?
I was gonna stand over there for the camera, but I guess I don't need to.
Just smile
And I
anyway.
brought paper maps, cause, you know, I knew the power was gonna go up. So, oh, great.
So we have a record.
So I'm Tim Morton, I'm the lead forester for the state of Vermont for Windham and Windsor County parcels owned by the state and small parts of Bennington and Rutland County. Generally stuff that's contiguous, like Okemo spills over the boundary quite a bit into Mount Holly. We have, we're operating on Okemo State Forest under a draft management plan. And we need to do some ash removals on a portion of the forest. And our internal policy requires me to sort of present that publicly for any feedback. I don't need permission from the select board, but I do need to air this. And I figured Mount Holly's where the job is, makes sense to do it at Mount Holly Select Board and see if people have interest in learning more about it. But a little context, emerald ash borer, if you haven't heard of it, is a devastating insect in white ash, black ash, green ash trees. It's in Vermont. At first was detected in North America in 2002 in Michigan, and it has spread rapidly across North America. It's killed tens of millions of trees, probably 30 million at this point. I've traveled as a forester to Connecticut and New Jersey to look at some of the damage. It is really striking when the insect arrives. Within a few short years, 99% plus of the trees are dead, and the ones that are alive just have small amounts of foliage. From a felling standpoint, it makes the trees very dangerous to deal with because they're brittle, full of holes, and they don't have what we call holding wood, so they're very unsafe to cut, both at the stump level and because they break apart. So where we can, we're trying to remove ash while it's sound and easier and safer to drop and still has value. And so we're focusing on state parks and heavily used areas. And one of those is on Okemo. So statewide, the quarantine by USDA has been lifted, but we are still recommending people follow what our recommendations are called slow to spread, and that's about when you harvest, when you process wood. So generally in the summer season, wood should be taken to a mill, processed immediately, and the bark should be ground up. And all our mills are following those standards. And in the winter, the rules are relaxed some because the insects are staying in the wood. The goal is just to process the wood by May. Firewood should be processed immediately if it's infested, or should stay on site for 2 years. But these slow to spreads are mostly about when you have the insect. We don't have the insect at Okemo yet, or Mount Holly that we know of, but it is in all 4 cardinal directions. It's a couple towns over. So it's working its way here. When you look at the map for the infestations, there's spots that are red that show you where the found locations are, and then there's a 10-mile radius where we expect that the insect is. We just haven't detected it. And those are all coalescing now. The portion of Okemo, which I'll show you in the map that we're talking about working on, is one of the few places where all the bubbles haven't come together yet. So I feel like we've got a little bit of time before the trees are infested. So what do I expect on Okemo? When the insect gets here, I expect to basically lose almost all the ash trees. And it's only about 5% of the tree stocking on Okemo State Forest, but in places it's concentrated, which includes this area that I'm talking about. And I'll show you where that is. Yeah, this is big. So, I always wanted to have a cute assistant. So Okemo State Forest goes from above the Buttermilk Falls Tiny Pond, goes all the way down, all the way to Terrible Mountain. And you'll see here's the Doolittle lands that the select board endorsed a few years ago, are part of the general region. And then and this is the parcel that also the town endorsed several years ago, which is the McLean parcel. You can see the contiguous nature now of the parcel. Anyway, so we're talking about this corner in Hillville. This is where I put these dots. The ridge line is about here, and 2,500 feet is about here. And we have, in this location here, I have, from a safety standpoint, I have the Bass Trail, I have the access road, I have 2 parking lots, I have a hiking trail, I have a Catamount Trail, and I have a sugaring lease. So there's a lot at stake if trees are dead and falling down. I think if we wait for the insect, we likely would have to close this area. I don't know, 10 years? It takes a while for this stuff to fall down. And Mark would be picking up his lines about every other day for the next 5 years. So that's the region. That's where we're gonna be. And the, it's gonna be roughly a couple hundred acres over a 500 acre area, because we have riparian zones where we won't harvest. We have inoperable terrain, it's very, very bony ground. We have high elevation areas. So out of this 500 acre unit, I think we'll probably only harvest ash on about 200 acres. Actually, I could use you.
Recording in progress.
Bigger map, if you're willing. Sorry these are so big, I forgot, I didn't have an easel big enough once I made it. So, yeah, so originally, we basically picked our landing locations, and I did a 1 mile radius of GPS out. 1 mile is considered the absolute farthest you would go with equipment. And you can see it here. But we pulled it all back in because we have, this gets over 2,500 feet, and it's, you can see that ridge basically inoperable. So there'll be a lot of ash that's retained there, just because it's not accessible. And then we've got a lot of riparian zones. These are all streams down through here. It's too wet, you'll do too much damage to the ground in harvesting trees. Same all through here. These are all buffer strips. These are all buffer strips. The priority zones to get done are sugar bush, the hiking and ski trail networks, the Bass Trail and the access road, which is this, and then these are secondary areas that are going to be isolated. When we finish this project, typically you'll put it, we say put it to bed. It means we're going to water by the roads, seed all the landings, and be done. And I don't want to have to come back in a few years and open everything back up again, and to get to these areas and go back through the sugar bush and back up the trails. And so it makes sense to do it all at once. So that's the unit. Thank you. So the idea is also that the non-hazard trees will also help subsidize the cost of getting the hazard trees out. It's expensive work because it's slow. We've done a number of these. Sometimes we make money, sometimes we spend money. And in this case, this one I anticipate to be revenue positive. So I think it will actually earn some income for the state. All the income from timber sales goes into something called the Land and Facilities Trust Fund. And from that, we only spend interest and we spend on recreation trails, fire tower rehabilitation, field mowing, road maintenance. So it all gets plowed back into the land. Sure.
With global warming, the effect it's going to have on the forest and the danger that comes with it. Your logging, will that be putting what long ago and lost that were used to the old roads that were used for firefighting, now gone?
Yeah, they're all grown up.
Will this, if you will, bring some of that back so these areas will be more accessible to firefighting?
It could if we do it right. It's a good thought. You know, we've thought for years we were immune to fire, but I don't think that's true anymore.
Yes, when the wind blows that way, yeah.
It does make sense that's good consideration. Usually we close out things with water rather than pretty severely.
Yeah.
And it might make sense to do
To at least have
a
them
gentler job, and so we have
make it
better
available
access.
for firefighting crews to get in and out.
It's a good thought. It could be a goal, and it's probably something we should be thinking about in all our projects. So we're going to remove all the trees within striking distance of a target. And the target is trails, roads, parking, signs, sugar bush, any place people congregate. That's the main goal. So what we'll do is we've got the unit all set up. I've got an RFP, request for proposals. We're not going to bid this the way we normally do, where we mark all the wood and we sell it to the highest bidder, and then we hold them to the contract. In this case, we're going to look at the price, the equipment that the operator has, their experience in similar areas, their reputation, quality of their work. So we have like 5 different things we're looking at. We want to pick the best operator we can because it's such a sensitive site. And we would do that. I'd hope to have that RFP out tomorrow, but I'm getting held up a little bit by some internal machinations, which is the story of my life, but we would do the trail sections first, Sugar Bush East unit, West unit first, then the following year the East unit. And there could be trail closures. We haven't decided yet how we're gonna handle the hiking trail. We've generally been able to work around Bass Trail pretty well. We haven't had to close a Bass Trail before for operating, but the hiking trail, I'm not sure if we're gonna try to reroute it or close it while we're working. We have to decide, we haven't decided yet. So that's the summary. Any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer. Sure.
It's interesting, you talk about lumber coming out of it. My grandfather actually started his business by having a portable sawmill. So he produced the lumber right on site. Of course, he was steam engine back then. But is that a thought to have portable, movable sawmills that will move into areas, make lumber, then go on to another area, make lumber? I mean, he did well at it.
I haven't seen anybody doing much of that. People buy the portable mills, and eventually they seem to park them and put a barn over them. But this particular site, the original Black River Lumber Company, owned that land, and that wood was all brought to a sawmill, which was right at the Hillville station, and then the lumber went on the train. We are going to we may end up doing that in some state parks where we have bridge problems. We don't have enough weight capacity, so we're going to start thinking about milling the wood on site and taking the lumber out. But and it could be a way to deal with the ash borer. You know, if you build it on site, you wouldn't
My
be moving the
grandfather
logs.
cleared the face of King Mountain. I mean, that's what he did with it when he finally settled into a permanent
Yeah,
mill.
it's kind of like horse logging it. But it sounds like a good idea, but very few people are willing to do it.
My grandfather did. Have you thought about using horses, draft horses, pulling
There
out,
isn't any.
less damage? There's none of it, none of it.
When was the last time you saw a fruit draw?
No, all these farmers
You
are
want-
going back to draft
I feel
horses.
like I took over your
instead of
meeting.
No, I'm gonna pull the meeting back.
Fire-
So,
farmers
we had a
are-
question in the back corner.
Yeah, Tim, I missed the first part, I was late. Is this gonna, you're gonna put RFP out, it's gonna be during the winter?
Summer and winter is possible. We have some dry ground. Ideally, the winter, Sugar Bush trails, all those sensitive areas will be a winter requirement. And then the drier areas along the access road / Vast Road could be done in the summer.
This, the Catamount Trail goes through there too.
Yeah, we've got a number of trails. And I was saying earlier, I wasn't sure, we might have to close some of those trails while they're working in those areas. That's the only way to be safe. And it's too stony to work those areas in the summer. You need snow to get over the rocks.
It's rough in there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
What was the schedule duration for your RFP, like for take 1 year or?
Up to 3 years. It would behoove anybody to get in there and get it done, because you don't know when the trees are gonna start being full of holes, but, you're gonna give them a longer period of time. I don't wanna push it so hard that people are rushing and doing rougher work, because it's a pretty big area.
I don't mean to change the subject, but I've heard there's some kind of insects that's attacking our white pines. Have
We
you
have,
heard about that?
Stop me whenever you want.
I'm sorry.
I just will let this last question go
Okay.
through only
Thank you.
in time of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, white pine needlecast, it's a complex of 3 different needlecast fungi. It's been benefiting from the really wet springs. The damage we see now is from previous spring. It's been idling along, and we are losing a lot of needles, and we're starting to lose occasional pine trees.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, it's, so,
It's a shame.
that's all I have.
Okay, with that, Tim, thank you.
Okay, thanks, folks.
All right, anything else, Bill?
I'm all set.
Okay. So moving on to new business. Signed the municipal mitigation grant in aid of fiscal year 25.
It's here, you guys can sign at the end.
Okay.
It's the standard state agreement.
one,
Yeah.
Is there any questions on
What's the
that?
dollar amount? Is there a dollar?
Dollar amount.
Here, I'll pass it down.
20, 30?
It came in a while ago, 17,750.
I see it. I just want to look at the date.
Yeah, sure.
I'm good with it. End date's September 30th, 2025.
Any other questions? Okay, signed promissory note, municipal equipment loan fund.
So this is, we bought the equipment last year, took out a loan with the community bank and applied for a low interest rate, with the state's municipal equipment loan fund, and 9-10 months later, they have granted it, so it would reduce our interest rate from a little over 5% to 2%, and we would use the funds to pay off the bank loan. So save us quite a bit in interest.
What's the duration on it?
It's 5 years, so actually, if we wanted to extend it an additional year, but because our original note was 5 years, so this one will start
When we sign it.
this June.
Any other questions on the promissory note? Okay, moving on to everybody's favorite, established fiscal year 25 tax rate.
So, we'll start with the worst news. The state rates, the non-homestead education rate, so that's your second home, increased by 13.27%. The state homestead education rate, which is if it's your primary residence, increased by 3.51%. So those rates that the state sets in combination with the budget that we passed in March of this year give us a combined rate, homestead, again, primary home, of 2.0845, which is an increase of 3.75% over last year. And the non-homestead rate combination is 2.2126, which is an 11.7% increase over last year's rate. And again, that's the municipal tax rate based on our budget is 0.4063, and that is directly related to what we approved, the town approved in March. So we're raising $1,174,370, and the remainder is the state education fund. And prior years, the non-homestead rate has been lower in the town of Mount Holly overall, the combined rate. So this is a big shift this year.
Is that because of this change in the state tax policy?
It has to do with the education funding yield and the bills that they passed
Right.
at the end of the session and then vetoed.
It's their new formula for long-term weighted
Yes.
AEMs.
That's why there's a
That
big
was
shift.
a big benefit to us.
Right.
Right.
Do we need to make a
Yes,
motion?
is there a motion to accept?
I make a motion that we accept the rates as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
The ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's not like we could argue it.
No,
So, it is what it is.
no, it's better than what I was thinking it was gonna be.
Yeah.
The homestead, the second homeowners are gonna feel
My
it,
poor renters.
so.
And so the goal is to then issue tax bills by the end of the month. I know would you like to do the honors, set of the
So,
computer is ready to set the tax rate, but I think you have something to be added to send out with the bill.
The Ludlow Ambulance Service is planning to drop off their annual membership drive, so that'll be included in with tax bills.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So they coordinated with you
But we
guys.
took, we gave them a date and that should be fine to get them out.
Good. That'll give the town folks the opportunity.
So the last Thursday in August is the 29th.
Ninth. Yep.
Which will be our deadline for our discount date. And that includes,
We'll try to get them out the 25th or 26th,
What was the discount date?
with the
August
absolute
29th.
date of the 29th.
Oh, my
Because
lordy.
they gotta have 30.
Pushing it tight.
They have to have 30 days.
Yep.
25th to 26th.
Okay, so I will.
Okay.
22nd, I pick it up. No, 22nd is my deadline.
23rd.
23rd, I pick it up. So I'll be
Mhm.
dropping off your papers
Yep.
on my way back through.
Okay, so to make it clear for everybody, August 29th will be the discount deadline. So if the taxes are not paid by the 29th, there is no discount. That way it's clear and everybody can hear that. And the bills should be going out for the taxes by the 26th, David?
Ideally.
Ideally.
Okay.
29th latest.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Appoint the new REMC.
So John McCann was the REMC and he's on a leave of absence from the fire department, so he can't be the emergency coordinator. So we need to appoint someone new. I don't know, Billy, I guess it should be someone else on the fire department, right?
I said I would do it, I could do it. So John, I
There you
think
go.
John may have suggested me that,
Yeah.
so
Okay, great.
I
So
could do it. I don't
you're
know.
interested, I'll make a motion. That Bill Austin is the new REMC.
Second the
I'll second.
motion.
The ayes?
Aye.
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 We all second? All aye.
Bill, thank you.
Do you wanna should I let Maggie or the Rutland know?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, appoint Board of Admin Representatives. Is it one or multiple?
So we've got 3 letters in your packets. Should have that.
Yep.
Dennis,
Is it one position or?
No, it's all of them.
It's all of them.
they're all up for reappointment.
And we have 3 that put in for it.
Yeah, and I think 2 are alternates. Yeah, so
Yeah.
David is an
Interested
alternate.
alternate.
Yeah, and
And
then
Christine is still interested.
and then
Christine, would you like
Dennis.
to read your letter? No? Okay. So we have
Understand.
an alternate position and 2 permanent positions?
No, it's 2 alternates
Two
and 1
alternates?
permanent. Or 1 3-year.
This one is
Not perfect.
All 3.
all 3. So we have 3 positions, 3 letters of interest. David Johnson, Christine Pratt, and Dennis Devereaux. Have all put letters of interest. So, any questions, concerns?
I'd like to
Is
make
there-
a motion that we accept all 3.
Is there a second?
Second it.
The ayes? Aye. Thank you for the letters of interest.
They're
Thank
all
you.
for 3-year terms.
Also,
Diana, they're for 3-year terms. All of them.
Yeah.
Yes, and they are 3-year term. So, thank you for the letters of interest from all 3 individuals, and congratulations for the position. And now we'll move on.
This is an item from last month. This is just the letter about the Recreation Commission. The Conservation Commission brought this to you guys last month, and it was sort of hung in the air, but you didn't make a decision about whether you'd like to have a Recreation Commission or not. And I believe the state statute says that the legislative body does need to approve if they're calling it commission, I think they mean committee.
Yep.
You guys have to approve, whether you'd like that to be in place or not.
What is there to do for a recreation committee in this town? I mean, we already have all kinds of organizations that have all kinds of recreation type items. Your snowmobile clubs has gone through and gotten permissions from landowners to have their trails set up, and there's other organizations, plus state and forest properties that do have some trails on them.
So I'll just say what they had said, just to refresh you guys from last time. So they had referred to the town plan, which had suggested the possible future formation of a recreation committee, and the tasks that committee might undertake this is in the town plan, would include developing a plan for off-road, bicycle, horse, or pedestrian trails, working with the school to enhance outdoor ed and recreation opportunities near to the school or adjacent to the school, considering adding safe and reliable playground equipment and an events pavilion at Star Lake, and working with the U.S. Forest Service to improve or replace the Greendale Road Bridge, which you already mentioned.
It's already happened.
And then it says there's probably other areas where such a committee could offer additional recreational opportunities to town residents at little to no cost.
Jeff, your thoughts?
Isn't that
I don't know if there's enough interest. I guess that's my only concern. Like, if there's people interested, then let them have at it. But I don't want to make a board without knowing there's interest.
I don't know if David wants to say anything.
Dave?
Okay, yeah, so my suggestion was that you solicit volunteers, and if you get a good number of volunteers who are willing to do it, then appoint people for, say, a 2-year term, and at the end of the 2 years decide, is it something that's worth continuing? Is it just a one-shot deal and leave it at that? But obviously, if nobody wants to do it, then there's no point establishing it.
So let's put it this way. If there's people out there with interest, write a letter and we'll go from there.
Maybe the select board, just a suggestion, you guys can decide whether this is useful, but maybe the Conservation Commission can write a little blurb about what that would entail to entice possible applicants. Since it's coming from you guys, I think it might be more helpful than us posting from the select board. And then I can help facilitate, getting it out to the public, and we could see if any interest comes in. Would that work, David?
Sure, yeah, I'll work with you to help draft something.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that. So next order of business is the addition, animal control.
We lost him when we lost power.
Okay. All right. So there is an updated list out there of issues that Adam had worked through. I don't have it in front of me. You printed it out, Diane. Wow. So Adam had a total of 7 different issues that he dealt just in the month of July, from dogs, creating issues, barking, other dogs roaming loose, found beagle, neighbor's dog eating people's compost, loose beagle or hound, and
That could be the same beagle or hound, right?
it probably is multiple.
It's within a range.
It's within a range. So most of them were dogs, and I think there was still some over ducks.
We had some in May too, it looks like.
No new duck calls.
So good.
That got
And-
resolved.
And I can say there's still the final, like, pending
Yeah, and
updates, but most of them were one and done calls.
so there's been a total since 5/22/24, total of 11 different incidences that Adam has been working with, and some of it included, the state police being called to do some different intervening issues. So Adam's doing a great job with the animal control, and he's doing a great job with the reports being supplied to the town. So Adam, thank you. Yes, Dan.
Liz is doing a big job getting.
Team effort.
I'm gonna let Adam take the credit on this one. See how he volunteered to do
Well, the
this
poor guy.
under the guidance of
We
Liz.
kind of threw him under the bus. We told him he may get 20
So-
calls a year.
So again, thank you for the combined effort for the animal control. Okay, going on to ongoing.
Oh, got a question.
I have a
Yes.
question. One of those problems was on our property with the dog next door. It has attacked our goats. It has chased our horses around. We try to load a horse on a trailer and the thing's barking, chasing the horse around. That's out in the pasture. It's tried biting us. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do about this issue. It's been going on since last year.
Okay.
So
I can say that's the most recent one on there that it's
Yes.
not resolved. He doesn't
it's
consider
not
it
resolved. We've been trying since last
It's been
year.
going on for a while.
And
Yeah.
every time we talk to them, take a video. But the video's not gonna do any good if nothing's coming about it. So that's where we're upset about.
Okay.
And I guess his brief comment, 'cause he's not here to fill, I wasn't involved in all the conversations, but just that he's working with Tiffany
Yes.
and the dog's owner directly, as well as the.
Good luck with that. We've
Partner.
been trying since last year with the owners.
Yeah. No, I know, and he's got the history from Tiffany. She passed along all her notes and stuff, so.
Yeah.
I think.
Has the dog physically?
It's come after us several times and it chased the horse, it attacked our goat.
I'm
We
done
have-
with it.
We have pictures of it where it attacked the goat,
I
it's
took
drawn
a
blood and
I took a stick
everything.
to it the other day and it come after
we
me.
try to shoo it away and it
No
comes
more.
after you.
I
And it
won't
come
tell you-
after our borders. So
I'll
there's
tell you
issues there.
I won't tell you what the state police said to do.
The state police
Oh, I'm
told us
sure I
we
know.
can get rid of the dog, but we don't wanna go that
No,
route.
it's too bad.
You don't wanna go there.
Too bad. The dog is a decent dog. but
Yes.
When they let it out and it just runs around the yard and
There is actually like a legal remedy. There's a dog ordinance in town for vicious dogs. The health officer has to be, the health officer has to be involved too, and there has to be like a little, I forget what they call it, but it's essentially a little hearing where the dog owner comes in, and the health department in any town is the health officer plus the select board. So the health department actually hears the facts and then makes a determination about the dog. And the dog ordinance does have, some tiered provisions for how to handle
Yeah.
what's considered a vicious dog. So that's a
Yeah, I can say the
potential future recourse.
reports that were made didn't include attacking any people. So
Well,
that,
we can get affidavits from the people that are on the property that
Yeah.
they've come after, so.
that would be, because then we can
And
look
we
at
have
that.
8-year-old
part
eight-year-old
of the
people there,
ordinance.
and with the
Yeah.
horses.
Did you?
We have videos.
Okay. Did you take pictures of?
Oh, yeah, we
The
have the goat
goats.
and everything.
Yeah, they just
That-
passed
The
that.
state police
That-
even
that
looked
would
at
be
the
perfect.
Adam's
stuff.
got
Okay.
it down.
So at that point, I would suggest maybe.
We can.
Yeah, I don't think the state police really have that much jurisdiction to
They don't.
enforce.
They
So it
they
has
said
to be
that when they were there.
it has to be enforced locally.
It has to be.
That's what they
So
said.
we,
Yeah.
we can pull the health
First.
officer into it, then we
Yeah.
can move down that avenue.
But if you can document the actual physical pieces, like where it's on people,
Oh, yeah, we can get those
because
statements.
that wasn't included in what I saw. And I
Right.
know that's where the ordinance kicks in.
That's
Vicious
correct.
dog is
Yeah.
like people.
I think there's
Yep.
like 3 incidences
There's some
reported.
kind of scale. Yeah, I forget exactly what it is, but it's
Never-
there's tiers.
We were just reviewing viewing it, that's
Yeah.
what
It's never bitten us, but it's come after us. We've
Yeah.
always tried to scoot it away or kick at it.
It doesn't
get rid
have
of
to
it.
bite someone. There's a definition in the ordinance for vicious,
Yeah,
which is a
yeah,
pretty
it's-
common sense
There's
definition.
5 different.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna
Right.
get hurt before they get done, because the guy's shoeing the horses, and there's young kids holding the horses, and the dog's been right up next to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could get that paperwork or the affidavits
There's
and get that to Adam would be great.
it's essentially like a civil.
It is.
It's a
Civil.
civil ticket that
There's,
you
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
tiered
Yep,
ticket,
there's-
ticketing.
Yeah.
Civil, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can go down that path.
And Adam is now within the he's registered in the Judicial Bureau to issue tickets, so and so is
Yep.
Chad if it becomes it has to be a collaboration for the vicious
right, if it's a vicious
vicious
dog.
dog because it presents a public health danger. So
Correct. Perfect, if we can get that documentation and everything through, we can start the process in the channels. Perfect.
I can print the ordinance too if you want to be helpful.
Okay, moving on to ongoing and old business. We've already discussed the Recreation Committee. We'll move on. I've had multiple phone calls from Ken Guy on 155 complaining about the general junk ordinance for the houses in the surrounding vicinity. I think we need to put together the addresses of them and send out the ordinance letters for their first offense
okay.
to them.
Do we know which address is it?
I think there's at least 2.
There's 2.
Yeah.
There's 2 addresses and they're
Okay.
both on the same side of the road
Okay.
opposite of Ken's, and I can get the physical
Oh,
address.
there's actually a 3rd then.
Well, there's one on the other side that has that trailer, and it was only the trailer there that I
Yeah,
saw.
some of them are kind of on the
Yeah,
borderline
so-
of needing it.
So I'll
Yeah.
get the physical
Okay.
addresses and I'll get that. to you.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And I know
Or
one
you
of
can
them,
tell Carol and then
and I
when I'm
think
in on
one of
Monday.
them is the one that was the original
Okay.
complaint.
Right.
That's one of the
Yeah, all the-
addresses.
All the
That
stuff just got
person-
moved and spread.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that person's
So-
no longer there. So
Right. So
Okay.
we'll get the physical addresses and we'll get those letters out.
okay,
I think one of those is foreclosure.
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
The initial
Okay.
initial one is
The initial one
Yeah.
I think is.
Yeah. So, and I'll make sure I reach out to Ken. I know Ken called me a couple of times while I was on vacation. I did leave him a voicemail back, so I'll reach out to him again. Okay, moving on to citizens' comments, concerns.
Mark,
Yes.
there is an old law in the books of Vermont, a noise ordinance. After 10 o'clock, no dog barks, no chainsaws, no loud motorcycles, no snowmobile, any of that shit. After the first complaint, the constable comes and he speaks to them. And I know this is a fact because I used to live in Pittsburgh and it was very heavily enforced because all the houses are, but he comes the first time. He'll approach you, talk to you, slow it down, cut, you know. If it happens again, he comes again. Okay, second visit, he'll speak to you again. Then the third time, you better wake up because the state police will come, and they won't enforce it. I had a lot of people in my neighborhood in Pittsburgh had a lot of trouble, and with outside wedding, loud radio disc jockeys and this kind of stuff, and they didn't even know the law existed. It's on the books, and they will respond. And if they don't cut it out, so this, it's
Yeah,
important.
and
People
for
have
us,
to work.
and for us, unfortunately, we don't have a constable, so I would have to say the
And we don't have a
surrounding
noise
folks,
ordinance either, I
and
don't
there
think.
isn't an ordinance in the town, but that's where it would have to be called to the sheriff or the state
Yeah.
police initially, because we don't have a constable anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go for training.
There we go.
No.
So yes, I get it.
No.
I totally
Because
understand that.
a lot of people, you know, they work days, they wanna get their sleep at night, and they got kids, they gotta get up, get them to school the next day. It makes sense. That's why more and more cities, like I have a lot of friends in Rutland, they're going with, the city has told them they have to have the battery lawnmowers, cut down on the noise, and which is kind of nice. But a lot of the big problems I had in Pittsburgh was neighbors next door, or a couple streets over, the loud dogs.
Yep.
You gotta sleep.
Did we get an email from the Tillies?
I didn't.
Okay. They had reached out. They were looking at the parking along.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'll talk with them after.
Okay.
Any other community comments, concerns?
Did you talk about the transfer stations employee hours?
No, it's not.
Kevin was asking
Not on
about
the
it,
agenda.
if there was a,
I think you guys should discuss that in
We
executive
will.
session
We
because
will.
it's specific to a
Specific.
employee.
Yep. So we will, when we go into executive session, because we need to go into executive session today, we'll bring that up because there is a letter. Yes, Paul.
Next time the meeting's canceled, could just put a note on the door so that a bunch of old geezers don't stand around here for like an hour waiting for you to start.
I
Just
thought we sent it all out and posted it.
Well, I mean,
Again, yeah.
I'm sure it was put out electronically, but
Unfortunately, I did not have the proper date and the chit chat on the front page.
Oh, okay.
just, just
No,
something to take.
I'll blame my wife on this one for scheduling vacation during the monthly meeting. So I'll send her your way.
Great, I'm gonna send her back to make you behave.
Okay, we'll make sure we have a better communication policy.
Next month, August, we will be moving to Wednesday
Yes.
because of the elections
Yes.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when it's closed.
Yeah, I know.
Just a note.
No, we'll do it. We'll make sure there's a better job for notification.
That's the old fashioned way,
Okay.
back in the 40s, yeah.
You got it. Any other? Okay, moving on to announcements. We still need a green up coordinator. If there is anybody out there that is willing, interested in helping for green up, please come forward. And we're still looking for a transfer station attendant. So
Full time.
full time. So anybody interested in it, please reach out with a letter of interest for either one of them. Again, a green up coordinator and a transfer station attendant. Okay, moving on, review and sign orders. I am going to make a motion to go into executive session, Title I, VSA S313A3, personal employee reviews. Is there a second?
I'll second.
The ayes?
Aye.
Aye.